what is the metaverse? And up until a few months ago, I admit I had no idea. For my role here at Code Like a Girl, it's about communicating and connecting with people. And I've got such little technical experience that I've broken Zoom many times, much to the hysterics of my colleagues. So for this suburban mum, I figured the metaverse was something that my kids would teach me one day about, rolling their eyes at my lack of understanding, just like I used to do to my parents, until this happened.
The red button on the floor.
It's just going off. Oh, wait, there we go. Oh, wait.
Is it on?
Okay, there we go. Yep.
Okay. Is there a red button on the floor?
Which quickly led to this.
You done it. You done it.
Oops, I'm going backwards one. So yes, that is me beating up a virtual cancer cell in a meeting room full of peers and tech professionals from around the APAC region. The things you do, hey? Well, the things I do at least. But what is the metaverse? I still haven't answered that question, I don't think, except show you an audition for me to appear in the next Creed movie. I'm not getting that part, obviously. The metaverse is, simply put, the next generation of the internet. Over time, there's a clear trend that technology enables people to share richer content. 50 years ago, we had site-specific computing in the form of mainframes, then dial-up connectivity, to now mobile access, which provides the ability for people to text, send photos, and view videos, and obviously live calls as well. In this progression, the metaverse is the next logical step. It will be a set of digital spaces that bring presence to life through immersive 3D experiences. This isn't about replacing in-person experiences. It's about making what we do online better and more meaningful. And it's going to create a lot of change in a lot of industries, particularly those in education, gaming, virtual offices, health and fitness, medical procedures, and entertainment. Entertainment like, did anyone see the Travis Scott concert in Fortnite? My YouTube isn't working. But I do encourage you, we'll send out a link to a clip afterwards because it is pretty cool to see. And it reportedly made $20 million, that particular event. Yeah, but the metaverse won't be realized for another 10 to 15 years. And it won't be played, sorry, I lost my thing. It won't be built by one company alone. Just like the internet, the metaverse exists whether Meta is there or not. Some of the organizations that are diving in early include Google, Microsoft, Sony, HTC, Les Mills, and Meta. If you saw my punching efforts, that's probably an example of what you can do with your Les Mills now. So I would love to talk a little bit. I don't need to talk anymore, but because we have got this exceptional panel of guests that are coming in today to talk to you about the metaverse and what they do in the metaverse as well. And at the end, we'll also be talking about some really exciting curriculum and learning opportunities that Meta has created with Code Like a Girl. So if you just bear with me a moment, Mads, can you bring Mia up? I just need to find Mia. Whoops. I'm having all sorts of fun today. Mia GARLICK manages policy for Meta in Korea, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and the Pacific Islands. Among other policy areas, Mia leads engagement with government and stakeholders on safety, privacy, misinformation, and security. Prior to joining Meta, Mia was the Assistant Secretary for Digital Economy and Convergence Strategy at the Department of Broadband, Communications and the Digital Economy. Mia joined the department after working in Silicon Valley as Product Counsel for YouTube. She has a Bachelor of Arts and Law from the University of New South Wales and a Masters of Law from Stanford University. Welcome today, Mia.
Hi, Amy. How you going?
Thank you. And now for something a little bit different, while I introduce the next panelist, I'm going to share with you some of their work that they've done. This is Helena Dong. She's a designer and creative technologist based in New York City. Her work interweaves conceptual undercurrents from fashion, performance, and XR, with a focus on speculating future possibilities and distilling curiosity through customized interactions. Helena's multidisciplinary practice has led her to design, develop, and direct experiences for a diverse array of distinguished brands such as A24, Coachella, Dior, Fendi, Nike, Prada, and Vogue. Quite the client list. Currently, Helena is an art director at Buck, where she collaborates with global teams to explore the expressive potential of immersive technologies. Jess HERRINGTON. Jess is a multidisciplinary artist and designer focusing on interaction, innovation, and human behaviour. She's an AI and immersive tech specialist, as well as a neuroscience PhD researcher specialising in visual perception. She uses technology and psychology research to bring alive a multisensorial experience through augmented and virtual reality. Her work anticipates and prepares for the future of creativity, work, and society. She collaborates with leading global brands using new technology to drive cutting-edge experiences for scientific, educational, and creative purposes. She's also a writer with a special focus on art, technology, AI, and ethics. She's interested in making digital experiences better for everyone. Jess, I feel like you are a bit of a superhuman person. That is an exceptional list of activities. Raymond, welcome. Raymond is a creative director and partner at Tada. As a creative technologist and VFX artist that has always had an eye for technology and the way it blends with creativity to create something that stands out. Ray knew from an early age that to succeed, he'd have to combine his passions of technology and art together. And he does just that when he develops immersive AR creations on the MetaSpark platform. So I'm going to just share a screen quickly while we spotlight each of those speakers. We've also included some of those, our creators' work for you today. So if you wanted to grab your phone quickly and select one of these, we will be sharing this link afterwards as well. But if you wanted to have a look at some of the work that these creators have made, you can use those QR codes now and follow along while we do some intros in a minute. I'll give you just another 30 seconds and I'll stop sharing my screen. We will be sharing these again, as I mentioned, so don't worry if you don't make it this time. Beautiful. All right. Share, sorry. Yeah, lovely. Right. I'm going to move my screen. Okay. Mia, it's wonderful to see you today. Thanks for joining us on the Code Like a Girl virtual stage.
Thanks for bringing this amazing group of people together. I feel like the least qualified person because I don't have some beautiful artwork and creativity to share as part of my introduction.
That's all right, Mia. You are more qualified than me, so you're still an expert in my books. Mia, I wanted to jump in straight away and talk about sort of why this is important, why the metaverse, why what we're launching today here is so important for creators and developers. What are the biggest opportunities you see to build the metaverse?
Yeah, I think the thing that's sort of really interesting, and I think some of that beautiful creativity that we saw to kick us off today sort of shows that, is that you know, the metaverse and the vision for the metaverse is it's going to be built by creators and developers who will be building these new and immersive experiences that we will be using to express ourselves and connect with people and build community. And so it could be, you know, building a game, designing clothing or accessories for avatars, or making, you know, an effect that brings together augmented reality and makes it sort of feel very real. But I guess, you know, what we need is we need to make sure that we're bringing along, you know, the developer community so that, you know, people who are used to building and developing in the existing environments have the confidence and skills to engage in these new ways of connecting. And so at Meta, we've sort of adopted a two-prong approach to do that. One is to have some really bespoke showcase examples of this. So, for example, we've partnered with TAFE New South Wales to develop 5 courses across plumbing, electrical safety, veterinary science, and allow students to sort of have virtual experience to learn these things. But then the other approach we're taking making is to invest in skill development. And that's why we're so excited to be partnering with you and Code Like a Girl and Tada to offer an Australian-specific Meta Immersive Learning Academy to help invest in the ecosystem so that so many more developers can participate.
It sounds really exciting. And I know our community would be very interested to understand as well, what are the business opportunities for creators and developers?
Well, I think there's different aspects of it. Obviously, there's, being able to commercialize a lot of your work in terms of being asked to create these types of things, these types of new experiences. I mean, certainly we've had some great engagement with Tada in building a Walk with Pride historical AR effect that let people connect in with the queer history of Sydney. But then there's also, I think, going to be commercialization opportunities connected into avatars and how people are engaging and undertaking commerce in the metaverse as well. So, the bulk of the metaverse is sort of 8 to 10 years away. So it's sort of hard to give precise contours. But, what we have seen over time is just the increase in all of our online experiences becoming more immersive. Back in the very early days, Instagram was just a photo sharing app, if you can remember that. And now here we are with AR effects and stories and short form video being the dominant way that people are engaging. So this is all along the trajectory, and people will be commercializing different opportunities along that path.
It's funny, 10 years feels so far ahead, but while I was working on this presentation, Mia, I've reflected that it was 20 years ago that I was sitting on ICQ talking to my friends of a weekend. And if none of you know what that means, I implore you to go and have a Google at what us oldies used to do in our chat time.
Well, I think this is the thing, right? Like you don't, technology you change with technology and technology changes with you. And until you sit back and go, hang on, what happened 10 years ago? You don't actually reflect on all the things that have changed. But I think it's, really important for companies like ours to make sure that we are paying attention to what is the new set of skills that people are going to need and what we be doing to do our part to help the ecosystem and the developer community move along that pathway together with where the technology is changing.
Yeah, beautiful. So why did Meta choose to partner with Code Like a Girl and encourage our community through this curriculum first?
Great question. Well, look, first of all, as I mentioned, we really want to make sure we're investing in the capacity of the Australian developer community so they can be, upskilling themselves, ready to, explore creativity and open themselves to the new commercial opportunities that this new immersive online experience is going to enable for us. Just taking a step back, I think there's more than 700 million people globally using Meta Spark across our apps and devices each month. So there's a great opportunity right there to connect with new audiences. And, we've also seen across APAC that 49% of Spark creators are female. So strong interest there from women to be, upskilling and leveling up their careers to these new opportunities, which is fantastic. And, we've heard so many stories, and I'm sure we're about to hear them from our panelists as well, of people, women upskilling in Meta Spark and then being able to start their own contracting business in AR. Starts out as a side hustle, then becomes a full-time job, or stories of AR filters that were started as a passion project and then are picked up by major brands and used around the world. And, I'm looking forward to hearing Jess's story shortly. But I think these are sort of some of the proof points that indicated to us why Code Like a Girl was such a great partner. Obviously, you've been building Australia's female tech community, not just by designing courses specifically for women, but also giving women the support and community to give people that confidence to continue to pursue their careers in these spaces. So you guys knowing your community and also giving us great insights to help us shape the curriculum have really, led us to be very excited about this partnership and all that we can achieve together.
Beautiful. Thanks, Mia. I think that's a really good segue to hear from our creators. Helena, I would love to welcome you to the stage. Thank you for being here. Helena's coming to us from New York, as mentioned. What time is it there, Helena? We haven't got you too early or late, I hope.
Oh, it's 10:50. It's fine though.
Okay, all right. Well, we will not keep you too long, I promise. But thank you so much.
No.
We met recently, Helena, but I would love you to share with our community your story. You've got such a wonderful, you've had such a wonderful journey, I guess, from where you thought your career was going to go to where it is now. And I'd love you to share that with our community.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely took somewhat of an unexpected turn. So before working in creative technology, I was actually formally trained in fashion design. I went to RMIT and I studied design and garment construction, essentially. But while I was doing that, I've always had an affinity for interactive elements and really drawn to the notion of experience. But I didn't really think on how that could be brought into the fashion industry at the time. So after I graduated in 2019, and then I moved to New York to work for Dion Lee in design and product development, I had about 7 months before COVID arrived. But in that 7 months, it helped me realize a lot of things. One was that I became very disillusioned with the fashion industry. Some of it has to do with the ways that things operate in an industry, but then also just some of it stems from my own dissatisfaction with not being able to actually explore experiential design in this space. And so, with the arrival of COVID, it was also around the same time that when I started noticing a surge in Instagram AR effects that were published by independent creators and not published by Instagram. And that was when I discovered that Spark was a thing. It's a software that you could download, or you could learn how to use it, and then you could create these AR experiences and publish them under your profile. And so I kind of thought to myself, if other people can do this, it really can't be that hard to learn. So that was the mindset that I went into it with. So I started with prototyping different kinds of eyewear and headwear designs. And I honestly didn't have any 3D skills at the time. So I would just use Photoshop, export 2D PNG layers, and just arrange them in front of the user's face. So that's what got me into the space. And then this was like a few months before COVID. So when COVID happened, and I honestly had nothing to do at the time, and I was staying at home in my New York apartment during the lockdown, and I thought to myself, I really needed to take some time to reevaluate what I was doing at the time. And it made me realize that I should probably just dive into AR development and learn 3D because I was fascinated by this space. And if I wasn't going to do anything else with my time, I might as well dive into this space. And so I did that. And because of my network in the fashion industry and a lot of my peers are designers and makeup artists and stylists, I started collaborating with them to, bring some of their designs into virtual space or to realize some of their makeup looks as AR filters that could be shared around the world. And so through those collaborations, I was connected with someone at Vogue, and that was when I actually got to work with Vogue on their first AR enhanced editorial for the September issue in 2020. And from that point on, more collaborations emerged, and this is what I do for a living now. I work in the experiential design space with AR and VR across design, development, and art direction. So that is my story.
That's awesome, Helena. And I think that a lot of our community could really resonate there with, ending up getting into tech through different channels and through different motivations. So yeah, thank you for sharing. I'd love to explore a little bit, like you've worked with some of the biggest brands in the world. Do you think there's even more opportunity for businesses to tap into this, into the metaverse and what AR and VR skills could do for an organization?
That is a loaded question because there are so many facets to consider. I think AR is such a powerful tool for a lot of brands. It's a way of enhancing their relationship with their audience, whether that is facilitating a more advanced form of dialogue in the digital space or affording opportunities to their audience in ways that were previously rendered impossible. So, some of the more practical cases could include virtual try-ons, and this is particularly useful for beauty brands, for accessory brands, for fashion brands, where, you don't have to go to a physical store to try on something, but also it's just really fun trying on things at home, like seeing how this accessory could potentially pair with your look, even though it might be completely out of your budget range. At least you can still try it and have fun with it. So that's one aspect of it. And another aspect is immersion and storytelling, because oftentimes when we look at fashion brands and they have seasonal campaigns, and it's not always just about the product. A lot of the times they're trying to tell a narrative through the collection, through the ethos of the designs. And so, utilizing AR, they can really bring to life some of those thinking behind it. And a really great example would be a project that my team at Buck recently collaborated with Dior on. So for the 2022 holiday campaign, they had this whole vision about Dior being the atelier of dreams. And so this was an omni-channel campaign. They had, a lot of beautiful digital assets. They had site-specific activations in Singapore, in Paris, and in Seoul. So we collaborated with the team to create a series of immersive experiences. Some of them you could experience at home. Others were available to those that went to those on-site activations. So, for example, at the Paris and the Seoul pop-ups, you could scan signage inside one of these beautifully constructed rooms, and then you would point your phone at the ceiling, and this entire ceiling will be overtaken by an infinite night sky, and it's filled with gorgeous, intricate constellations and celestial figures that very much inspired the campaign. And so it's things like that, taking elements from things that are typically static and dormant and bring them into virtual space and immerse you in it. So I would say those two are the most powerful: virtual try-on and storytelling.
Awesome, Helena. I think I could listen to you talk about your work all day. You just have such a wonderful approach, and I can see the inspiration sort of in your eyes as you talk about work. So thank you so much for that. I might include Jess in the conversation now as well. Jess, you have a very big resume. I'd love to learn more about your journey into the metaverse and becoming an AR/VR creator.
Yeah, so my story, I guess, goes back about 10 years or so. So like Helena, I moved overseas for a little while. I was living in London, and I was trained as a traditional artist in drawing and sculpture. And I found the art world over there sort of really super inspiring and interesting, but it's, super competitive. And I ended up working for a web design studio, which created like high-end websites for brands like Chanel and Adidas, and for films like Donnie Darko. So from that was sort of my first taste into the digital realm and what was possible, and seeing people working with these quite new technologies at the time. Because I felt so sort of stifled with the traditional art world, I actually ended up studying. So I studied online through Open Universities Australia, and I did a degree in psychology and a degree in philosophy, focusing on like logic and philosophy of mind. So I'd always been really interested in visual experience, but not just from an artistic perspective, but actually understanding what we like, how we sense and perceive things, and why we like certain things or are drawn to certain experiences. So from that experience studying online, I decided to move back to Australia and pursue a master's and a PhD in neuroscience. And it was while I was doing my master's that I actually got a grant from the Australian Network for Arts and Technology to do an augmented reality experience at the time. So by then I had been developing mobile apps with AR experiences and exhibiting them at galleries and exhibitions and festivals, and also different sort of vision conferences because I do visual neuroscience. And they were really fun to make, but the audience size that I had was always quite small. You'd sort of get like 30 people downloading the app. You go, oh, wow, 30 people, yay. But then once Meta Spark came out, I felt like that was just a really incredible way of expanding what I did and making it just so much more accessible, because you could have hundreds of thousands of people using your filters. They were so easy for people to share and access. You didn't have to use them in a certain space. Yeah, so I really bonded with that new technology.
That's awesome, Jess. I love your story as well. You come from it. I love that art sort of background, and I think a lot of our community would would resonate with having that creative first feel for their work as well, and how it ties so well into tech. Jess, I'd love you to dive a little bit more into the opportunities for our community that are on the call today. What was it that motivated? What was it that stood out to you in terms of creating things, and what advice would you give to, I guess, someone who was curious about getting into this curriculum a little bit more and learning more skills in the metaverse?
I think, look, it's a very sort of intuitive software to learn how to use. I think that you don't need, a big coding background or anything. There's, the academy that's coming up, and there's lots of YouTube tutorials as well. I found, though, that in terms of like developing opportunities, the best way was to actually sort of develop like a little prototype or test case, which I didn't really know that's what I was doing at the time. I was kind of just doing things for fun and going, oh, I like this idea, I'll put this out there. And then a brand actually contacts you and says, hey, can you actually do that for us and we'll pay you? And I was like, oh, yeah. Good. You can be quite strategic with that. So like one particular example that I did actually using that method was called Fresh Hot Delicious, where I created like a little augmented reality restaurant. And the idea was that they were all food related filters, and there were desserts that would sell out after a certain amount of uses. And from that, I actually got contacted by Meta and Sephora France to create sensory digital perfumes that you could wear. So we were using like research into sensory science to inform the design of the filters, so that it felt like people could try on a perfume when COVID was on and people couldn't actually go into a store. I'm not sure if that answers your question, but I kind of hope it did.
Oh, that's really cool. I love the fact that if you're looking to get more work in this area, or you're looking to be a freelancer in this area, simply creating content is a way of putting yourself out there. That is really exciting. So thank you. Is it hard to learn? Is it hard? Could I learn? I'm such a novice.
Yeah, I think anyone can. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, that's good to know. Ray, I would love to introduce you to our community. As mentioned, Ray has been the creator of the curriculum that we're delivering with Meta here to our community. He worked for an organisation called Tada. He's a creator himself. That will be the guide through the learning process. I think I might touch on just quickly here that the Meta Spark curriculum is available to learn for free at any time through the Miller Academy or through Facebook. But what we're working with Meta is creating this tutor-led experience so that we can really build that community and that sense of belonging. We've spoken about it here at Code Like a Girl so many times before. Women don't feel there's a space for them in tech because there is simply just so many men, and they don't have that sense of belonging. So knowing that Code Like a Girl community is here can be a great way to overcome some of that confidence and imposter syndrome. So that's why we've worked with Meta and Tada to create this tutor-led experience to deliver this software, to deliver this learning experience. And Ray will be leading it. So Ray, can you tell us a little bit more about what the curriculum is? I feel like I've said curriculum 30,000 times in this. Can we explain what it is without using the word curriculum again?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. So yeah, the curriculum is basically, I think it's a 7 or 8 lesson basic plan, I would say. But we basically go through all the features for MetaSpark, and what that really means is that we basically start from a 101 workshop. So starting from scratch with everyone effectively knowing nothing, going through the UI and just understanding what it takes to create a simple filter in that 101 workshop. And then beyond that, we start to level up and we start to just introduce additional layers of features and difficulty. The course it's not difficult at all, and it's very easy to pick up. There's no prerequisite in terms of you need to know how to use Photoshop or you need to know how to do 3D. There's plenty of content inside of the lesson that will guide you through. Basically, I think by the end of the 8 weeks, you should be able to build some pretty complex filters and effects on the Instagram platform. Yeah, I mean, I could go through more features, but I feel like it would go on forever.
All right. We had the team here, we were lucky enough to have a bit of an intro into what people will be learning. And I know Lara and Sarah, our technologists, are on the call today, and their eyes just lit up at what they're going to learn. And I think they could see the relevance for it in their current roles, but also for future as well. Why is this lesson here? Why are these skills important for current and future tech professionals?
Well, I think we're going to get to a point where creativity and technology is blending, right? We're no longer really looking at pure coders. We're getting to a point where we have creative technologists like Helena and Jess, and not just developers anymore. And so being able to express yourself not just via code but visually is also important, I think, in the metaverse. But moving beyond even just, I guess, MetaSpark in its current form, if you think about where it can lead in the future, and where Meta is looking towards is, this platform can extend beyond your mobile devices. It's going to go into your headsets. It's going to go into augmented reality eyewear. And so, getting into it early, and I still consider this early, even though it's been out for 3 or 4 years, is critical sort of in most, I guess, consumer-based work. I know a lot of the brands that we work with are looking into the space, not knowing what to do. And so if you're able to come in and be like, hey, I do this, and this is what you can do with this technology, you definitely have a leg up on everyone else.
That's awesome. So I just want to, we'll be handing it over for questions pretty soon. So if there's any questions in the room, start thinking about them, popping them into the chat. Before we jump into that, I do want to just clarify with you, Ray. So after today, our community will be given the opportunity to sign up for the free 101 workshop with yourself, where they will learn to create the technical terms. I'm going to hand it over to you. What are they going to learn in 2 sentences at that 101 workshop? They
are going to learn how to create an AR effect from beginning to end, and a simple one, and we'll also take them through how to publish that effect. So ultimately, you'll use MetaSpark, you'll make a face effect, and then you'll publish it onto your Instagram platform. That sounds awesome. And then if they love that and want to do much more, there'll be an opportunity for further learning with you. Yeah, so there'll be additional 6 lessons, I think, that will take you through more features and more in-depth features that could, things like segmentation and the patch editor, image trackers, target trackers. Yeah, lots of things. All the things. All the things. That sounds awesome. Before we close off our panel, we open to questions, I do just want to go around the room one more time and ask if there's any one piece of advice that we could give our community that's here on the call today. Does anyone have one piece of advice that they want to share along? Anyone got anything on their head? I'd just say don't be afraid. Very good advice. Jess? Yeah.
I think for me, just realizing you don't have to be like a certain type of person to do creative technology work. You can really come from a lot of different backgrounds and use it as a strength.
Yeah, that's awesome. Helena?
Yes, I have a few things, but I'll condense it into one. Oh, okay. I think just like echoing what everyone else is already saying, working in the creative tech space is not just about technical skills. Of course, technical skills are very important because you need to understand what you're working with, but it's way more important to cultivate a growth mindset. And I'm assuming that's what you all have by being here today. But in addition to that, understanding the implications of the technology and how it can be applied to your field of interest. Because in my personal opinion, technology on its own has no agenda. It's really up to you to give it life, to actually breathe energy into it. And this so-called metaverse really should be a reflection and extension of the world that we live in right now. And it should reflect the level of richness, the level of diversity, the level of wonder and creativity that we experience on a daily basis. So just keep that in mind as you go on to create.
That's awesome. I love that piece of advice. Thanks, Helena. Mia, did you have any last words or pieces of any advice for our community today?
Well, one of the posters we have around the office says done is better than perfect. And I think, the insights from everybody else on the panel just really shows that, sometimes I think particularly women can be very self-critical and think, oh no, like I need to have done the following 5 things before I can jump into something new. And I think, the great insights of Ray and the great sort of multidisciplinary experiences of Helena and Jess just show like there's no perfect sort of entry point here. So just get in, like experiment away and, be excited for where you might land and learn along the way, because it is an exciting platform with tremendous opportunity and, part of a journey that we can all go on together as a community.
Yeah, it is. Stay curious, hey, and just have a go. That's awesome. So yeah, into the chat now. Are there any questions from our community for either of any of the creators, for Ray about the specific curriculum, for Mia, who's at the coalface at Meta here, driving the metaverse forward? If you have any questions, pop it into the chat now. I'll give you just a few minutes to see if there's anything out there that we can help you with. We're quite a group today. Are we all already on Easter already? Just counting the days till we can eat all the hot
That could be the quiet sound of chocolate Easter eggs already being eaten. Maybe that's what it is.
For those who don't celebrate Easter, of course, it's just a long week and lovely long weekend coming up. So maybe
and extra chocolate.
Yes, we're all thinking of the getaways, camping trips over this weekend, hey? Beautiful. So Lara did ask, what do you think is the most exciting lesson in the curriculum, Ray? Good question, Lara.
I think there's a fun one. Pretty much the last lesson is a culmination of all the work that you will do through the lesson. And so the last one is basically the ability to interact 2 different image trackers. And so you can basically have, in this instance, the spoiler would be you have a marshmallow on a stick and you have a campfire, and you're able to cook the marshmallow on the campfire on 2 different image trackers. And so that I think is critical. We don't really see much of that happening inside of the Instagram effect world. And so I think if we introduce that to some of you guys, you might come up with something interesting.
Yeah, I can't wait to see, knowing some of our students and what they've done through their own courses. There's so much creativity in this community, so I can't wait to see what they come up with as well. So then Laura asked, will we be receiving the link for the course? Yes, definitely, Laura. We will be sending out the link straight after this. Give us an hour. We'll be sending out an email after this event with links, all the information that you need. This session will also be recorded and popped on our YouTube if you wanted to watch it again. Amanda asked how long it is. There is a 101 one-day lunchtime workshop happening in May, Amanda, and then from that you'll be given, and everyone will be given the opportunity to sign up for the longer, was it 8 weeks, Ray, or 7 weeks of the longer learning?
I think there's additional 6 lessons after the workshop. I think a total is 7, and then a final get together of show what you've made.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably about 8 weeks, 7-8 weeks.
And it's just going to be 2 hours a week for that period. Is that what we're thinking?
I think we're yet to determine that, but it'll be around that. And the more time we give, I think what we'll plan on doing is try to have some Q&A time at the end of the lesson, so we can, work on some of the effects that you guys will be making.
Yeah, beautiful. Question for Jess. What was your hardest part when you worked on the sensory design perfume?
The hardest part, and it wasn't that hard really, was just the technical one. So I did a couple of different parts of that. So I did the research behind the design, like looking at what shapes, colors, and textures would most effectively communicate a specific perfume rather than just relying on gut instinct. And then that was translated into some 3D assets by a 3D artist. And I guess the hardest part was sort of, well, resizing those to make them fit into Metaspark, because there's limitations. But like, I mean, it's not just the actual shapes and 3D meshes that you have to change. It was actually recreating some of the materials. So some of them were kind of like translucent and kind of jelly-ish, but with different layers inside. Like there was some passion fruit pulp with pips, and that was kind of challenging. But like, yeah, we got there.
That's awesome. Thank you. Jean King had just had some questions about does it need to be face-to-face or online or one-to-one? So it is a group learning experience. That sense of community, as I mentioned, and our belonging is so important, but they will be delivered online. So I believe all you need is a computer to come along and join in and learn. So Wendy's just asked how many hours should we commit to participating, including the homework and projects. Wendy, I believe it's about maximum of 3 hours a week. Would you say, Ray? Including the lesson and a bit of homework, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the homework is entirely up to you guys. The lesson is structured so that you guys will be following along during the lesson. And so by the end of it, what we'll have is sort of some additional outcomes. And what that means is basically, I'll just task you guys with trying to do something by the week after. And so you're not required to do it, but if you'd like to, then you can. So I'd say probably only 2 hours a week just to do the lesson.
Yeah, perfect. And then you'll be so motivated and inspired that you'll just want to play on it all the time, hey?
Pretty much.
Jean King, do we need to pass the first session to get into the 8-week workshop? No, there's no prerequisite. The 101 workshop will teach you that the basics. It is something you can catch up on at any time by yourself if you can't make that particular session. So yeah, definitely no prerequisites or needing to pass to go further. I believe the idea of this program is simply to empower more women and gender diverse people into the future of tech. We've seen how the current iteration of our tech industry to be so male dominated, and the many issues that have come out of that. We've spoken about it so many times, and Code Like a Girl sees this partnership as an opportunity to ensure that doesn't happen in the future. So yeah, definitely no no prerequisites or passing required. Jess, you are all over the chat. Thank you. Royson just asked, she mentioned brands companies saw her personal work and contacted her. Where were you sharing it? And it was on Instagram. That's, yeah, really good. Do you want to elaborate?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the power of those filters, that when you share it online, you know, it has that little link and it says, you know, try this. And it's sort of like this exponential effect where people keep trying it and keep trying it, and it spreads to audiences and places that you never would have been able to reach otherwise. And you never really know who knows who. And so I think that's how brands found out. It's just people sharing it in their networks.
Maddie's asked, what excites you all most about the future of the metaverse? That's a good question. Anyone?
I guess for me, it's about collaboration and collaborating with people that you wouldn't normally be able to. And that really extends to, like, I guess, you know, an extension of what these Zoom meetings are. You know, in my mind, when we first started this sort of curriculum talk, I was thinking, well, what if we could do this workshop in the MetaQuest? What if we do it in Facebook Horizons and do it in a way where we can actually like sort of semi-physically interact with each other in a space together. And that also, you know, lends itself more to being more tactile and sort of things that are easier to learn. And so things like that sort of where my head's at, I think.
It's awesome. Jess, did you have what you're most excited about?
Yeah, totally agree with Ray on the collaboration, and also just the ability to have shared social experiences, the ability to bring people who are living in remote areas or may not be able to access certain public spaces together, I think is a really huge potential benefit.
Awesome. Lena, did you have something you were most excited about?
Yeah, I mean, this is a question that I contemplate a lot. And I feel like for me, it's not necessarily the metaverse that excites me, because I think the metaverse is just whatever world that exists as a result of our actions right now. And so instead of focusing on this space, what I'm excited most is, as Ray and Jess talked about, it's about those connections that we facilitate through the technology. It's about the creativity and new forms of opportunities that promote diversity and inclusivity. A lot of things still need to be worked on. It's definitely not going to be a perfect space. It's going to have, you know, its errors, and we need to course correct at some point. But the good thing is that it is still being built, and it is being built by us. So I'm excited about what we're going to do collectively.
Yeah, I think so. I think just seeing as we've said, the creativity and the possibilities are really exciting. Mia, I've got a question from Natalie in the chat. I'm not sure if you saw this, but Natalie has asked, as Helena said, she's quoting you, Helena, already being quoted, tech has no agenda. So my question to Mia is, how is Meta anticipating and managing externalities associated with the metaverse becoming increasingly realized in society? And she's coming from the perspective of humane technology.
Yeah, it's a big philosophical question, and we could probably devote another panel to talking about it. But I think just to sort of, outline a sort of an initial framework and the way people across industry are thinking is, obviously there's so many different contributing parts to something as complex as the metaverse, and just, the introduction of presence to our online experience is so foundationally challenging just from a technical perspective. There's a lot of things that we still don't know need to be built to make it realized. And so I think on the one hand, you want to make sure that you've sort of got sort of consistent principles and frameworks that are flexible enough to sort of allow that innovation to happen, but also are building on the lessons that have been learned from the 2D internet. And so, you'll see a lot of work, most companies that are sort of working towards a metaverse vision, like Meta, like Microsoft, have come out with various principles to be transparent about how we're thinking about these issues in terms of the extent to which there's AI involved. There's different industry associations looking at ethical frameworks around this. And then there's also very small and tactical things like in the products that are here and now, like Ray-Ban stories, or, how we're designing AR filters, or how people are using an Oculus headset. There are already different controls and features in there to allow people to manage their experience, make sure that there's clear policies governing conduct and design principles and things like that. So I think it's sort of there's a flexible approach, there's a learning approach, and then there's sort of the tactical here and now. And it's great to be able to continue the dialogue with this community and others to make sure that we're all moving towards this vision responsibly.
Yeah, thanks, Mia. That's a great reflection. I was along to the Meta Symposium last week, the week before. It feels like a month ago now. Things are so busy at the moment. But and it was a real bringing together of, as you said, different community groups and different ideas and different minds and experiences. And I really think that I left with that sense of that's the way forward, is to ensure that all voices are amplified. It's not just co-design, but it's a co-creation, co-design, throughout each step of development, we need to ensure that community groups feel that they have a voice and that they're heard with that voice as well. And yeah, it was exciting to be part of that conversation. Natalie definitely wants another panel, a panel on that topic. So Natalie, you're in luck. Code Like a Girl signature events are going to be deep diving into these events this year. We have one coming up in May that you'll hear about soon, and one later in the year. So make sure you're on our mailing list and we'll get that information to you. We do have another few minutes if there's not any more questions. There we go, Mia, they're enjoying your response in the chat, so thank you very much for that. I might start to close the session for today and talk about next steps for everyone. And I'm going to bring back my screen. So if you didn't get the QR code from our creators' work before, you could grab it now, but it will be in the meeting, in the email that follows this. I'm trying to do two things at once. Can you tell? Of course you can tell. So these QR codes will be in the email following this particular event, which we will get to you as soon as possible. So you can, yeah, see some of the work that Helena, Jess, and Ray have done, and you can play with their filters on Instagram. I was playing with it yesterday with my 3-year-old. She particularly liked your work, Helena. She was right up her alley with that beautiful colours.
I love hearing that.
She loved it. I think I've started something with her, and yeah. Anyway, next thing you knew, we're onto butterflies and all over her face. So she quite enjoys jumping into the metaverse already. So yes, we've done questions. Next steps, as I've mentioned, the 101 workshop, which gives you the skills to shape what comes next. So you can learn the skills to create a unique AR experiences through the Meta Immersive Learning Academy. I know there's lots of words that we've said today around MetaSpark, Miller, workshops. I understand if you're a little bit confused, so I'll try and summarize it really clearly now. Meta has launched the Meta Immersive Learning Academy, which is kind of the school under which they'll host different types of curriculum to upskill more professional, not just tech professionals, anyone who wants to learn the skills, as we've heard from Helena and Jess today. The 101 workshop will be delivered through Code Like a Girl to our community, and it is the tutor-led experience, community building experience where you work among peers and friends to learn how to build your first filter. It's a taste session, it's a taster session. You will walk away with skills that you can use straight away. But if you love it and you want to do more, there will be opportunities for further learning, which we'll talk about at that workshop and after the workshop as well. You won't miss out. It will be publicly promoted. If you can't make the workshop, you won't miss out on the further learning if you want to do that. So keep an eye on your emails, keep an eye on the Code Like a Girl social media. We'll of course be promoting everything through there, or just reach out to us if you need to, Facebook group, email, however you want. We would love to hear from our community if you have any thoughts or ideas that you'd like to include. Thank you, Mads, for sharing the link. The link is already in the chat. Thank you, Mads. We will be sending an email for it as well. That's it. 2 minutes early. It's the first time I've ever been early for a panel. I'm going to give myself a pat on the back, and I would love to give a very big round of applause to our panel. So wonderful jumping into this topic with you all today. So wonderful to hear more. I love Helena and Jess's stories of Australian girls doing awesome things in this world. Go explore their work. I think you'll be really inspired and really enjoy what they have to learn. And I can't wait to jump into the workshop with all of you, and with Ray at the helm teaching us all that he knows. So thank you everyone. Please provide your feedback at the end by email if you have any as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.